I know Brock was under the weather earlier, so. But he answered his phone and gave a rally. And then shut off his phone.
Well, we can get started and just skip the items that need
Yeah, okay.
approval.
Yes,
Fine.
this
You
is-
just can't take any action.
Yeah.
You can review.
Okay, I'm calling the meeting to order of the Locke Foundation at 6:48 p.m. And today is June 22nd.
Excuse me, can you speak up a little louder? It's really hard to hear back there.
I'm calling the meeting of the Locke Foundation to order, 6:48 p.m. right now,
Thank you.
Tuesday, June 22nd.
Okay.
Of the minutes, though we don't have a quorum yet, maybe we should take a minute to read over the minutes. These were for the April board meeting. We did not have a board meeting in May, and Wayne took these minutes. The business included a report on the progress of the May 9th annual event, announcement of 2 resolutions, which we have received to date from the legislature. Actually, those were information items.
I have no comments on the minutes.
I was not here.
Why don't you read? We can't vote on it
4 of us
anyway.
were here.
You can take comments on it.
Yeah, are there any changes that are
No.
recommended, anything, incompletely reviewed?
I don't see any changes needed.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, now, we're not, voting on approval. Treasurer's report, the treasurer is not here today.
Okay.
Wayne, do you have anything to report?
Yes, the current balance in the checking account at Rio Vista Bank is $47,781.69. On the profit and loss sheet, a couple of things of note. The tile fundraising project is more than double what it was last year at this time. Our donations for the donation box and the known donors is substantially higher than it was. And that's apart from the centennial donations. Everything else is fairly within budget standards for the year.
Okay. Now,
Well, this is regular business, Darrell.
If it's on the treasurer's report, you can take the question.
well, there's a question on either the minutes of the treasurer's report?
It's on the minutes of last month or
Go ahead.
2 months ago.
Okay, well,
I noticed my name is mentioned here in your minutes. Like to know what, like they have some sort of personal
He
communication or written,
reported,
or written communication, preferably from your foundation, whatever it was you were discussing about me at that April
no, there
meeting.
was nothing written and there was no decision to send you any written communication.
Well, I'm requesting written communication on whatever was discussed regarding me, I'm mentioned in your minutes here, so I'd like to know
Well,
what was
let's,
discussed, but not,
check when Stuart comes back and have him review what he said. It's been 4 months ago. I would do that. Anything else? Moving on to communications.
Okay, there obviously is no state parks report. In the executive director's report, we have filed the personal property tax. We can expect a bill in August from the county. That includes all of our fixtures and the inventory of the gift shop. So,
Are you referring to any letter we got or something else?
well, this is something, the letter we got 3 months ago.
Oh,
But we
okay,
had to file a form. That form has been filed.
okay.
So, the, you have in your, we will have to file a sales tax report. Our sales tax year ends June 30.
Okay.
So,
From July 1st of 2014 to June 30th,
Yes.
2015.
yes, and we'll probably be filing that in the first couple of weeks of July. So, other than that, we have, in other communications, we have California State Parks Foundation letter. They were inviting us to become a member of the State Parks Foundation, State Parks Action Network.
Is there a cost?
Not as far as I know. This is something that is a straight association maintained by parks, hoping to promote cooperation between the various park associations.
Okay.
Costs or obligations associated with membership.
Now, part of the thing that they do is send out brochures.
Yes, I get them every 3 months.
So, following that communication, you have my letter to Dave Hilton of Hilton Security, who provided the security and parking control for the May event, the centennial event. It was very well handled, and I hope that people did an excellent job. We had no conflicts.
Yeah, I got a lot of comments from attendees that the parking was well handled.
They were the best ever. Really.
Yeah, they're the same group we had last year. I increased the number of people by 1 in order to, so that we'd have people front and rear. So,
That made a difference.
Very organized this year.
okay, there's a form here, County Sacramento Department of Finance, Tax Collection and Licensing, updating our information. A letter of appreciation from the Vacaville Museum Guild. They came on a guided tour. They were very impressed with the way we ran the tour, and they liked the museum and the additional museums open in the street. And we have the opportunity to cooperate with them in their functions, advertising their functions, and possibly supporting them in the future. But they are definitely an ally. Following that, we have a letter indicating that 2 checks have been enclosed for the scholarship that it's
Yeah, this is a scholarship from one of our members, Mr. Colin Lai, and he grew up here with his mom, Effie Lai, who's covered in the Bitter Mellon book. 2 scholarships of $500 each to someone of Chinese descent. And we are considering this a private scholarship since the Locke Foundation being a 501c3 cannot discriminate on color or creed. So this will be a private scholarship that we will announce to our constituency members, the local schools, and Joyce has kind of yelled and send out the announcements and identify the right schools in discussion with Daryl, our school district, who probably have contacts on how we can reach out to the students and their counselors. We don't have to award it in this calendar year if we can't do a thorough job.
So if I understand you, I mean, is this separate from the scholarship that we've offered in the
Yes,
past?
it is separate.
Okay, all right, good.
Any question?
Okay, following that is a letter from Department of Water Resources. They undertaken to catalog historic structures and other historic areas in the entire Sacramento Delta region.
Are they inviting us? Or just
Yeah,
telling
well,
us what
they're telling us what they're going to do, so I would imagine they will get around to coming down and visiting Locke in order to complete the catalog. I have a lot of, I suspect that a lot of this has to do with the Twin Tunnels project.
Yeah, they'll probably do an environmental impact review starting on that.
And the balance of it are things for later in the agenda.
Mark had a comment?
What I was going to say is the Parks Association is going to have a lot of input with what's called the Parks Forward Committee and reshaping how California State Parks works in the future. So they're likely going to be one of the major advocates for change in California State Park system. So it might be beneficial to be a member of that association, because the other question that's coming up is whether for the 2016 election will a bond for parks funding be placed on the ballot, which is likely. So that'll also probably be the organization to do political coordination with support of any type of bond for parks funding for future projects. Because currently most of our bonds are reaching depletion for capital outlay projects. So if there's no cost incurred, I'm not sure about that. But it is the major association where most of the parks are networked and coordinate their actions. So
Okay, that's good to know. As I recall, this boarding house was renovated using bond funds.
yeah, and if the boarding house ever hopes to see new panels inside or a major expansion on the interior, that'll be a capital outlay project. And either we need to find donors for the foundation to raise money, or possibly do internal bond funded grants. Because the way some of that money is spent is a competitive funding between multiple parks for bond funds. And so there'll be an announcement usually, and we just have to be proactive when that type of competition for grant funding through the bonds becomes developed, and we're ready for that.
Okay, thank you.
Are we in the new business section of discussion?
No, we're in old business. We reverted back. We're on Roman numeral 5B, Sacramento Museum Association meeting.
Okay.
And one more additional thing with the association is they were very eager for us to be active in their subcommittees. And so that'll require a commitment to make sure that we have somebody available to serve on probably their finance, planning. You know, I'm not sure what all their committees are, but I'm sure we'll be asked to actively participate in their committees also, subcommittees.
Basically, this organization is smaller than Locke Foundation, if you can believe it. Their major revenue is membership dues. Their major activity is Free Museum Day, as you all know, in Sacramento County. It's the first Saturday of February. Free Museum Day.
It's an organization in need of revival. I will say that. It's good to become a member of it, and perhaps we can participate in their revival, because they are kind of currently geared for a upper middle class demographic. You know, their events are wine tasting party type things, and the only places they advertise are like in Sacramento Magazine. So their appeal to the broader public is very limited, and that, and we can be a factor in making that change to
So only in museum day do they appeal to a wider range
well,
of
and that was, and I noticed that there was some debate. That was the whole issue about apparently Crocker Museum broke the unwritten code last museum day by actually charging. And so there's actually that discussion, and instead of saying free museum days, something like half price membership or member for a day. And so that's one of their active discussions I noticed that came to the meeting we attended, is there was a discussion about how the museum day is actually going to be in the future. And that perception of what
Two
this
issues
is.
came up, right. Crocker, who's pretty big in the community, said we're not giving free admission that day, which is like a rebellion. Number two, Sacramento Zoo and Fairy Tale Town said they had to charge a fee, and they're charging half price, because the police told them that the traffic to Sacramento Zoo and Fairy Tale Town, that they just messed up the freeways.
Yeah,
There are
I don't know if
25,000
you've
people
ever
trying to
been
get in
downtown
for
during
free.
museum day. that,
Yeah.
Which is a problem we never expected, but those are probably the most popular attractions for families. So they had to charge a fee, but not because they wanted to, because they had to control the crowd.
Right, it doesn't mean we need to charge a fee, but it like I said, it's an organization. I think we can help make encourage more visitation everywhere.
Yeah, we don't have a problem with free museum days.
No.
Every day is free.
Well, yes, well, that's one of the things we can promote on the website, is that we're
Right.
free parking, free admission, and
Right, okay, enough. Shall we move to item C, historic marker in the Main Street Park? Did we include that?
Yes, last page.
Okay,
Or
the
second to
last page,
Second to last.
second to the last page, is a draft of what we wanted to say on the plaque from the Native Friends on the list. You don't have to respond today, you can take it home, read it carefully, and see what you feel about it. This draft was created by Jay Carade, Stuart Walthall, and Alfred Yee. Any questions about it? You can email me if you feel we forgot to mention something, or we should use a different adjective to describe the community, the ambiance, the era they lived in. And don't worry about exceeding any word limits. Any?
Okay, sounds good.
Well,
Yeah,
good.
Glenn?
This is just out there.
Yes, regarding this wording that you are proposing for the commemorative bronze plaque, Philippi, or crafts, something permanent looking.
Yeah.
I find the wording in the first sentence to be revisionist history, exclusionary, and fabricated, that this town was built and inhabited almost exclusively by one race. According to the 1930 census of Locke, 23 countries of origin lived here in 1930, not very recently ago. And there were more Russians and Spaniards listed than any other foreign entity. I believe that it's a big mistake to eliminate all other races and national ancestries and origins of Locke in the telling of the history of Locke.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
Also, your second paragraph says that prior to 1915, Locke consisted of 4 buildings and was known as Lockport. The name was later shortened to Locke. That was shortened in the mid-1920s. The original mention of Lockport is, or the oldest known published mention of the town of Lockport is in an 1895 publication from San Francisco, the San Francisco Call newspaper. You can look it up on the web. You can find it, it's in a PDF. Also, another mention of Lockport, California, was in 1896. So the town, I'm puzzled by the wording founding on your signage outside that says that the town was founded in 1915. I believe the town is at least 20 years older. Also, in this second paragraph, you've got Locke flourished and at one time supported a permanent population of 600 residents. From what source did you get that 600 residents?
Martha, I didn't compose this.
Okay,
I
who
will
did?
take your comments. I already said J. Stewart and Alfred D. who holds a PhD.
Okay. I'd
in
like to
Chinese
know
American
what
history.
sources, because I've never found any census records that say more than 410 people living here,
Okay.
of
Thank you,
whom
Martha.
39 folks of the 410 were born in China in 1930.
Thank you. We need to move on. I've noted your comments.
I just hope that you include everyone and not just one ancestry of peoples, because this is a global village and always has been. Always has been.
Item D, renewal of state park contract concession.
Okay, I am still working on that. We have,
Right, yes, they have requested us to complete 2 forms, which are not easy to complete.
Yeah, we
Wayne
do.
is working on that. Next item, E, subcommittee updates.
Well, he did send an email with some comments. First item he commented on is the memorial park, and that said that he met with Daisy and reviewing the needs of the space. It needs constant weeding by Asta, and new composed granite is needed on the pathways, mulch, some wooden borders need to be replaced. So there's some upkeep, and he said he would give a full report in July on that. He did say he's needed to increase the hours that Asta has been weeding it to 3 hours a week, because Daisy has pointed out how much weeds really grow fast there. And the watering system was fixed, and a new schedule for watering was put in place. So that, I guess there were some broken elements, and that's been repaired. Then he has notes on the demo garden. He said the Chinese vegetable demonstration garden. Everything is finished. There's 10 examples of Chinese vegetables planted. New mulch, a watering system, and manure, and a drip. The watering system, by the way, is drip at the moment. So that's all been done, and actually, you guys should check it out. There's daylight for a long time. It's really growing well. While he's been on vacation, another resident has volunteered to keep it watered.
Okay.
You just spoke of the memorial plaque. Let's see, Main Street Park, that's the one down at the south end of the block. And he says, designs will be addressed upon my return.
Okay.
And I think that's about it.
Okay, if not, let's go to the next new business item, banking services and accounts. As you know, we have our Locke Foundation checking account at Bank of Rio Vista. They will not give us a credit card.
It's not that they won't give us a credit card, they don't offer a credit card.
We don't offer credit card. Anyway, a credit card would be very useful for us in a couple of ways. Number one, when we make purchases for the Locke Foundation, for example, we bought the outdoor flags. We all have to use our personal credit cards because mostly these transactions take place online and they don't bill you and you can't send them a check. So we've had to use personal credit cards and then get reimbursed. I mean, the better thing is to pay a vendor directly, just to keep one's books clear and up and up. Number 2, our PayPal account, which is crucial. We sold a couple of $1,000s of tickets through our PayPal account, online through the website. But PayPal will not forward all the money to us at once. They're limited to $500 per month. Why? Because we don't have a credit card filed with them. Now this is important because they don't want to be left holding the bag if they forward all the money to us every time someone buys something. Because in the event we issue a refund, they're left holding the bag with nothing to fall back on. So a credit card is important for that reason. And for example, we're thinking of buying a new computer for the Locke Foundation. And this is like, probably over $700 or $800. Right now, someone would have to use their own personal credit card to buy it. Otherwise, you go online and Dell's not gonna send you an invoice and wait for your check to come in.
Do they issue debit cards?
They issue a limited debit card, but the issue we've always had with them is authority on the card. So,
Yes, deciding who, should be entrusted on the board with that card. Because,
It's usually your board president and your treasurer.
And maybe executive directors.
Yeah.
executive director, unfortunately. Yeah. But
So to date, no one has been willing to give PayPal, their own personal credit card as a guarantee against it.
And our tax ID number wouldn't do
No, they
it
have a
either?
tax ID number. No, but they can't get money out of it. I mean, we could technically be in the red and they would have no recourse.
Right.
So what is your solution for that?
Well, solution is that we could find another bank. I mean, we don't have to drop Bank of Rio Vista entirely, but find another bank. I mean, we have enough funds to distribute it amongst more than one branch that is willing to give us a credit card in which we can use. Like I just mentioned.
Yeah, the Bank of Rio Vista has very limited service, and I'm a little troubled by them because they've undertaken an expansion program where they're opening new branches. They're messing around with their software when you go online.
Yes, going online is a nightmare. I've tried. Every time you check on one specific check, and after you do that, it throws you out of the program. You have to log in again and do it. So it's very unsophisticated.
But if we find another bank, we can establish that bank account as a reserve,
Right.
leaving certain funds with Bank of Rio Vista as operating revenue to pay the water bill.
Because it's
pay
easier
my
for
telephone.
Wade and whoever it is to deposit at Bank of Rio Vista, obviously, because it's 1 mile away. There's no other bank servicing Walnut Grove, Alton, Cortland, Hood.
No,
No.
yeah,
There are some banks that will give free checking accounts to nonprofits, and you just have to show them your IRS statement and your bylaws and whatever. So anyway, this is the dilemma we're facing, so we want to ask the board, can we look for an additional bank for this purpose? One that will give us a credit card. And obviously, once we get that credit card, our balances are subject to a chargeback if there's a refund on a PayPal purchase or donation or whatever. I mean, it's kind of stupid that we don't have a credit card.
well, maybe it would be useful if our treasurer could, and/or Wayne could make some suggestions on what bank would be both convenient and offer services that we
Probably a
need.
bank that's both in Sacramento and Stockton, and there are those, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so given that thought, I would like maybe suggest to give some thought to a bank that not only is in those two locations, but fairly large, that does a lot of community donations. Just throw out, for example, Wells Fargo in Sacramento. They're really, really good about giving money back to the community.
Right.
So when you're looking for sponsorships and things like that, they always step up. They may step up at various amounts, but the point is that they step up. And even if there's a chargeback or something like that, or a fee for having an account with them, you probably make it up.
That's true.
So, I mean, I'll throw that out just for some consideration.
Yeah.
They could have very well been a major sponsor in the Centennial, and they probably would have stepped up for it.
Well, I know Bank of America does not sponsor community stuff.
No, that's why
Right.
I threw out Wells
Yeah,
Fargo, because
that's-
they're all over the place in many nonprofit events and stuff.
Okay, so we'll check on which banks are available, but I want to tell you guys, this is why we are researching, okay?
Yes.
Great.
Let's see, I have one more. Given that we have a surplus in the Locke Foundation treasury now, I mentioned before that one of the things we need to upgrade here in our infrastructure is this computer. It's kind of older than the current version that's available in speed and the amount of memory it has, and I know anybody who's used it here is kind of frustrated. So I've asked Mark to look up typical types of computer we get and how much we can get for our money. We also found a place called TechSoup that gives software licenses really cheap to nonprofits. And this is because of donations from major software providers like Adobe, Microsoft, and those places. So I've looked at the typical software that this definitely should have, like Microsoft Office Professional, which is the whole palette of stuff. You know, Word, Excel, Access, PowerPoint, whatever. Acrobat and Photoshop. It's just important for us to make flyers, to do newsletters, you know, it's sometimes just simple, difficult just to crop a photo without the proper software. So through the TechSoup organization, it would cost about $100. The retail price would be around $600. So, and we are a member of this TechSoup organization, which sells software licenses to any nonprofit. We've registered ourselves. So it's not that expensive to upgrade, you know, new computer with all the bells and whistles. Mark, did you have any suggestions or comments?
When I was looking at if we can reuse the monitor, the computer for capabilities we need to do, that's $600.
For a new monitor?
With a new monitor, that's about another $200. So about $800 for a new monitor and a computer.
And $100 for software?
If we can get all the software from TechSoup for nonprofits. So then you also mentioned possibly a new scanner printer combination. So that, but
Yeah,
just
I
the
talked
computer
about-
by itself probably in for about $800.
I'm talking about getting remote access, like if one of you were working at home and you wanted to look up, you know.
Yeah, she sent me an email today about,
Now we have to physically come here, but
about
if we could dial in with a remote access, that would help.
Yeah, setting it up as a server, and there's the possibility that computer could be dedicated as purely a server, but on a cautionary note, if you go to that type of thing, you know, you've all seen the news about how often things get hacked, and,
Right. You're
and
well
so
known.
that would require some diligence on the part of the users to maintain good passwords, and a diligence of somebody, you know, that the computer that would be dedicated as the server to handle those incoming requests and to do the security would only be dedicated to that one function, to maintaining that security of the information and everything on the foundation part of the boarding house computer. So the question I would ask is how many people think they would actually need to access from home the computer? How many people are we looking at?
Well, some of the officers might have access. I mean, I need access, and I come here just 3 times a month, and, you know, it's inconvenient.
It's, like I said, if we could utilize that old computer, then it's probably, also looking at they have the server software, and then for the type of security software, probably another, depending if you get it from as a nonprofit, probably another 100, 200s for a robust firewall and virus software to go on the server. That's all a server computer does, is be the keeper of the gate to access to the information computers inside. So,
Any questions or
Well,
comments from the board?
yeah, I don't think I will comment, because I'm a Luddite when it comes to,
yeah, we're
Most
not
computer
talking
stuff
about
and-
providing Wi-Fi to anybody
Yeah,
in town.
yeah.
We're just talking about the ability of
Right.
people at home.
yeah.
But it would mean leaving these computers on 24/7.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about that, and I'm wondering if, what your needs are, if, as your need to access, if, you know,
The,
putting
there
things on.
is another solution.
Mhm.
Norton makes a remote user access for, like, it's designed for you to be able to access like your own computer at work or something like that. But once again, the machine has to stay on, and it's designed for just like one person, one machine to use.
Right.
And that's a lot cheaper than going the server route. And, you know, once again, all that is a software package, but it does require that computer you're accessing to be online. And I actually have it for my work computer.
Mhm.
Is that it allows me to log, if I left my machine on in my office, I can log on to my machine from home and look at the hard drive and everything that's on my work computer.
Right.
So I can work from home.
Right.
That's the alternative. If Eileen is the only person, or we only think we're going to have one person at a time need to access that machine, is that's a lot more viable solution than it is putting a server in. But once again, it will be a one person, maybe 2 at most, for that type of offsite access. That also enhances or lessens the chance to compromise and everything. So that's a cheaper,
Right.
easier to implement solution.
Okay.
Well, we don't have a quorum here to authorize purchase, but does the board have any objection to upgrading the computer? I mean, if we're just talking about upgrading, we're not talking about server or.
It's pretty old.
Server is
isn't
the
it?
main computer.
No, we have no objections. I mean, you should be changing out your computer at least once every
3 to 5
Yeah, because
years, yeah.
technological obsolescence. I
The
mean,
Windows
that's-
10 is coming out this fall, and so the older machines won't be able to.
Yeah, sleep.
I don't know how it was set up before, but the files that are on the laptop are not the same as the files here, so it depends on the user, I guess.
Well,
Hmm.
They're
Yeah,
not.
the 2 computers aren't networked.
No, they aren't, so they're.
yeah, and that's another. Sorry to go further into this, but that's another possibility. Is instead of a server for access, is maybe buy some extra storage to have. So if we're going to have, where you keep the files, the software resides on the computer, but the files reside on just a set of drives or what they call cloud drives. So so your files are the same across all your machines.
Now, if and when we have been authorized to buy the computer, delivering it is going to be, and accepting is going to be an issue because this is not always open. So I would have to have it delivered to Clarence's store, right? Otherwise, no one's here all the time to accept it.
Yeah, when I ordered my last computer for home, I kept missing the UPS guy, and he kept leaving notes on my door because of its high value item,
Right.
and he wouldn't deliver it until we gave it to somebody directly.
Well, you could deliver it to my house.
Right, and most likely those are not mailed by USPS, but either FedEx or
Right.
UPS.
Yeah.
So they need a street address for delivered. And if and when we have delivered, Mark, are you willing to swap out all the stuff for us? We can't do our food.
Yeah, I've got enough knowledge to be dangerous about that, so.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, for faster speed and capacity.
Right. Well, Ms. Esch.
Thank you.
Thank you. Not sure which item that you're on, but since you're talking about using the net funds that you have, $33,000 net funds, I would like to once again refresh my request that I've asked for, I know with the Locke Foundation at least one other time several months ago, and with the Locke Management Association I've asked numerous times over the last 5 years. And that is if you folks could please spend some of your historic preservation money on buying some smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, externally mounted perhaps on the buildings and on the common ground areas, would be a wonderful thing. Assisting people in upgrading their buildings to have fire escape ladders would be another wonderful thing for this town. And providing some money to flush the sprinkler system that has never been flushed since it was installed in 2002. That's 13 years ago. It's 13 years old, it's never been flushed. We're told it's probably rusted shut. Also some assistance with repairing the broken sidewalks and the large gaping holes in many of the wooden sidewalks up on River Road and down through the alleyways would be.
Martha, those suggestions are really not within the mission of the Locke Foundation itself.
What is your mission for the Locke Foundation?
To preserve and promote the history of the
Okay.
town.
And you were talking about infrastructure just a moment ago.
Infrastructure for the Locke Foundation.
Oh, for the computer.
operations. Right.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Are there any other items for discussion or announcements?
Oh, I do have something. A while ago, I was in Isleton and went to the Isleton Museum there, and I'm remiss at remembering the guy.
Charlie Hertz.
Yeah, Charles, right, Chuck. Actually, their association donated money for the centennial,
Yes,
the
they
Grand
did.
Island Empress Historical Society. And he handed this to me. He said, this is a convenient thing to have at a museum. It's a real quick way for people to take this home.
The donation envelope.
The donation envelope. I don't know that we have this, and you can fill out your name and what kind of membership you want, and you just throw it in the mail. And I thought, wow, that's like an obvious great idea, and I don't know that we have this yet in here in the boarding house. So just wanted to pass this idea out.
That's a real good
to
idea.
everybody.
From the raffle ticket sales that we had on May 9th, we got about 150 new names and addresses from email.
Great.
Good, right, there are people that we did not know of before.
Right.
So they have all been sent the latest newsletter and a request for them to join us if they liked our event and they support this kind of activity. So that was a good resource to get from the raffle ticket
Yes.
stuff.
To carry on, there was a comment. A box of remit envelopes are pretty cheap. These are remit envelopes.
Remit.
You get a remittance, they're pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Because I had to order boxes every 4 years.
And where do you order it from?
Well, I order from the same people that do my printing from my, but Nancy has the name and address.
Okay.
No, 30, 40, $50 for a box of 1,000.
No problem, 30, 40, 4,000. awesome, yeah, that's a good idea.
I think that's what, I'll have to ask her, I don't keep the books of
Any
my
other
stuff either.
announcements?
I don't know
Isn't there
anything.
Historical Society, there's a presentation set tomorrow night at the medical building on the 100-year anniversary of the San Francisco World's Exposition, World's Fair. There's gonna be a talk at the Historical Society in San Francisco.
Treasure Island.
The Pan Pacific Exposition.
Exposition.
Who's the speaker?
This was made at the announcement when Albert.
Oh, well,
gave
we
us
were
talk
there
there.
for the May
Yeah.
presentation.
Yes.
And what time is that tomorrow?
Is it usually at 7 p.m.? That was
Yeah,
Albert's talk at 7
6:30 social, 7 PM
Yeah,
start.
good thing you brought it up, because I'll be able to, forgot it was tomorrow.
Last month on May
Yeah, what a nice
26th,
talk.
Alfred did a talk with the Sacramento Historical Society
Mhm.
on Locke, and we had over 100 people. We sold
We had
38 books. It was
Standing
wonderful.
room, very
Wow.
good turnout. We sold books there, yes.
Oh my goodness, that's wonderful.
It is.
Alfred deserves some kudos.
Does anybody
Alfred,
want to?
Eileen was there,
Yeah, Alfred, Honey,
I
and I
helped
was there.
sell books.
Anything else? Anybody want to move to adjourn?
I moved the adjourned.
Excuse me,
Don't forget public comments not on the agenda.
Huh?
Public comments not on the agenda for items not on the agenda.
I thought we already had been soliciting on every
Well,
topic.
Those are for items on the agenda.
Right, but for items
Oh,
not on the
any
agenda,
Announcements or
anything?
comments on items not on the agenda.
Can any of the directors here please tell me which article and section in your bylaws give the Locke Foundation the authority to build fences to block pedestrian easements and to remove the ADA access between my two commercial properties at the end of Main Street in Lot 159?
That is a question that should not be addressed to the Locke Foundation.
Well, I was told by Mr. Miller before the meeting began that the Locke Foundation funded the worker who removed the cement sidewalk and also demolished the historic
We funded
entryway.
it, we were not in
Well,
charge of the
excuse me,
But
project.
don't forget,
Historic
Eileen, it's public
entryway.
comments, so
Okay.
we might as well just.
He also
speak.
removed the historic entryway to the old gambling house that was there.
Thank you for your comment, Martha.
I'm not
I
done
will
yet.
pass it on.
Thank you. I'm not finished yet. I'd also like to note that the county, I've inquired with the county building permit department. They said that no building permits were applied for the changes that have been made to Lot 159. Also, as a homeowner, I have not received any notification or voting rights for the changes that are being made to that common ground park, which is owned by all of the 38 property owners in Locke. It is not owned by the Locke
Thank you for
Foundation.
your announcement, Martha.
It is not, I'm sorry, what?
Thank you for your announcement.
You're welcome. I believe I've got another minute left.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So there were no building permits, no archaeological reviews prior to excavating the park and removing the historic entryway cement to the old gambling house that was there. The removal of the ADA access to my two commercial properties is the biggest thing that needs to be replaced immediately. Also, you are proposing a sign, a bronze plaque permanent sign to be installed in that park. That sign needs to get a sign permit from the county, as well as do all of the 25 plus vinyl, plastic, computerized banners that are lining Main Street up and down that your organization installed 2 months ago. They are in violation of the historic special planning area sign ordinance for this town that pays particular attention to the antique look of signs as written in the sign ordinance. You might want to review that before ordering any more computerized vinyl banners for the town, please. And who is the state parks representative chair seat for the Locke Foundation currently?
Lopez.
I'm sorry, what?
Terry Lopez.
Terry Lopez? Okay, so she hasn't been here in about 4 years.
She has. She
Well-
was here on May 9th.
I thought that
Public
the,
comment, that's-
I was at a meeting when the state, back in 2011, when the state parks representative said that they were they were removing
I think 3
themselves
minutes have
from,
gone by.
they were removing themselves from the board because of conflict of interest, since the Locke Management Association, the Locke Foundation, are tenants of the state park. So my additional question with that is, since that brings the board down to 12 prescribed members, when was the board restructured through and given approval from the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors to have less than 13 directors?
Thank you for your comment.
It's actually a question.
I'm not equipped to answer it at this point, so.
Okay, well, when I send in Public Record Act requests,
3 minutes are up, Chair, and I think we can.
other
close
people
the
are allowed to
public comment.
speak without even having to, you know.
Well, you have been allowed, so the 3
And
minutes are
you
up.
won't answer my questions through Public Record Act requests. You won't answer my questions when I ask at your board meetings.
Shall we move to adjourn? Are we ready? 3 minutes are up.
Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
motion.
I move to
Second.
adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning the meeting?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay?
And the time is?
7:55.
I shouldn't.
Thank you for